All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order on the February meeting of the Board of Commissioners here in Sampson County. At this time, I would like to call on Darrell Price, if he would, to please lead our devotion.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you in the humblest manner. First of all, give it our praise, Lord. We ask you to bless this meeting of us as we come together, the veterans and all the other entities with the commissioners. We ask them to bless this meeting and be in our hearts and minds as we try to conduct the business for the betterment of this council, for this community, for the, for this here, Lord. And just help us, Lord. Help us as we go on for this county, yes, Sampson County. We ask these things, Lord, and your wisdom as we go on about this business. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. At this time,
Let us pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda as published.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? It carries. I'd like to welcome everyone to this board meeting this evening. This is our first meeting in February, and so I would like to take a moment to recognize that since 1970, February has been observed as a Black History Month. We are proud of our African-American citizens here in Sampson County and thank them for their contributions that they have made and that they continue to make for the betterment of our shared community. Each of us is elected to serve every citizen of Sampson County, and I know we are all working to make Sampson a better place to live, work, and play. Does any other commissioner have anything?
I would like to say something. Black History Month was created to focus our attention on contributions of African Americans to people of all periods of the U.S. history, from the enslaved people who was first brought over from Africa in the early 17th century. We want you to join us and recognize the pivotal role African Americans played in U.S. history by acknowledging their many achievements. We need this to be a constant reminder, knowing our past opens the doors to our future. Here's an excerpt from Reverend Billy Graham. He said, "Life is a gift from God, and every person has dignity and worth because each is made in the image of God. So let us continue to work together to honor our life history." Thank you.
Anyone else? We good? Thank you, Commissioner Lee. We're going to move on to our updates and presentations. Item one is the NCDA update, and I'll call upon Mr. Daniel Jones, NCDA District and Residential Engineer, and Mr. Lance Eason, North Carolina Department of Maintenance and Engineering.
Good evening, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here and share our updates. Again, my name is Daniel Jones. I work with NCDOT here in Clinton, serving as the district resident engineer. And I'm going to provide the updates for our construction projects, active construction projects that are going on currently, and Lance will provide his updates for maintenance as well. But I do want to take a moment and thank him and his team for preparations for our recent snow event, both pre and post storm. Him and his team did a really superb job of making sure that we were prepared and ready. As far as our active bridge contracts, we've got two that are active in Sampson now, one being on US 701 over the Black River, and we are right at 56% complete. That's up from the 43% when we were here last year. We've got the girder, or we plan to place the girders for span C in the coming week. And we have just recently made some modifications to the temporary structure, the riding surface. It was showing some stress, so we milled that up and replaced it. So the other active project that we have is on Bradshaw Road. We are hoping within the coming weeks that we'll be conducting our final inspection, as we've identified some punch list items and finalizations that need to take place. Our active resurfacing contracts, we've got the one that we're 18.3% complete, and that's progress schedule is showing 21%. So we're a little bit behind schedule there, but that's due to the weather and temperature restrictions there. In that contract, we're paving NC 50, NC 55, Mingo Church Road, Underwood Road, Murphy Road, Mosley Avenue, Chancey Road, Boney Mill Road, Roseboro Highway, Dixie Road, and Bass Lake Road. The other active resurfacing contract we're actually 91.32% complete. That's another portion of NC 50 from Sutton Town Road, or from Duplin County line to Wayne County line. Map 2, which is King Road, Lipson Street, and Marcy, which they've been completed. So we're just waiting on the temperatures to lift and finish up those items left on that contract. We do have an active pavement preservation contract. We've concluded the crack sealing operations, and we'll be beginning the chip sealing whenever temperatures permit. So that's all the update I have currently. So turn it over to Lance. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are y'all this afternoon?
Good afternoon.
Good to see y'all again. Lance Eason with NCDOT, representing the maintenance department here in the county. Last time I was up here, I told you we might be riding around with snow plows and spreaders, but don't worry, it won't snow, but it snowed, so. We had a couple of events, and I just got a few facts I wanted to share with y'all. So you probably see those white lines on the highway. That's brine that we put out to, make it safe for the traveling public. We put out about 130,000 gallons of that the past two storms, as well as about 760 tons of salt. I had never really seen that in action, but it does work. So we've replenished and we're ready for another one if it hits. But it took a lot of people, and I want to say thanks to a few in particular, some contractors we use, Mike Spell, and a contractor out of Harold's S&S Backhoe Service. They worked all night when it snowed right with us, and I appreciate that. That kind of help goes a long way and helps us do our job. The city of Clinton was a big help too. They brined a lot of our streets in town, and we appreciate their help. Lastly, our employees. I couldn't have done it without a good staff, and I appreciate them. Aside from snow, we've been working on some pipe replacements to get ahead of all that paving Daniel talked about. So we've recently put 6 pipes in on Preacher Henry Road. That road will be paved sometime in the near future. We've also got a road closed right now, Bill Williams Road near Turkey. Pipe fell in on that road, should replace that pipe this week. And then our plan is to finish up in the northern part of the county and move to Wildcat Road the 1st of March to start on cross-line replacements down there and get that buttoned up before we pave it. Last thing I wanted to say was outreach events. Daniel and I are planning to go to Lakewood High School sometime in March. We've reached out to the schools, and if there's any way we can help or go present or shine some light on what we do, we're glad to do it. That goes for anything. We want people to know what we do. We want to bring people to this organization. We have jobs constantly, and anything we can do to get the word out about what we do, we're going to do it. So any questions for me before I finish up.
What is that date for Lakewood?
That is March 20th is what we've got scheduled for Lakewood.
A question about the four-way stop signs. What all does the DOT use to decide where to put four-way stop signs besides just traffic count?
Well, there's a lot that goes into that, and the main thing's safety. So we pull a crash history over those stops for years. Usually what triggers those is you can look at them, and until there's fatalities or injuries, we figure out other methods. Can we slow the speeds down? Can we do anything to alleviate this before we go to always stop? But when we start seeing signs of fatalities, we have to do something. And the main thing I can say about always stops is they're not always perfect, but they do save lives. And if that's what we have to do, that's what we're going to continue to do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all,
Thank you,
like
Commissioner.
always. Now we will move on to item 1B, Sampson County Partnership for Children's presentation. Donna Jackson.
Gonna try to get this going. Okay, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. I'd like to say thank you for what you do. I feel you don't receive enough recognition or thank yous for the hard work you put into this. Tonight I'm speaking about quality education and the NC Pre-Kindergarten Readiness Program. NC Pre-K is a program that helps prepare children for kindergarten. Not all schools in Sampson County carry NC Pre-K. Certain schools carry it, and those are the schools that are lower income. They're in the lower poverty areas. I want to tell you a little bit about the partnership before we get into what I'm requesting tonight. Sampson County Partnership for Children is a nonprofit 501c3 business. We support low income. Subsidy is one of the programs we carry, and that mainly supports parents with child care payments. If you've seen how much it costs for child care today, it's unbelievable. Even like an infant's like $1,000 a month. So it's just very high. We help pay those prices for parents if they qualify. PAT stands for Parents as Teacher. It's a home visiting program. We have a degreed staff that go out to the homes and support the parent in teaching them how to teach their child on the developmental level that their child is currently at. Triple P is basically a behavior support program for those parents who have difficulties with their children. And we support the schools with behaviors. Dolly Parton Imagination Library is basically a child who can receive a free book each month right to their mailbox if they apply for Dolly Parton. But currently Dolly Parton is on hold. The state is at their level of they cannot pay anymore. So our funding for that has basically come to a halt. We are continuing the students that we have in the system until they wean out to the age of 5. Wages is a supplemental support program that with the child care centers, we help pay the staff in the centers a little more on their wages. They have to be below $19 an hour, and they have to be at a certain level of education. A CDA is the lowest. The higher their education, the more they can get an hour. Diaper Bank, we have free diapers and wipes for qualifying parents. And tonight, again, I'm speaking to you about the NC Pre-K program. Am I on the wrong slide? You have a hard copy in front of you. Let me see. Is it moving? I don't see it moving here. Let's see. Maybe I can go down. Here we go. I'll do it like that. Okay. So, can you see the one that says North Carolina Child Care Crisis? Do you mind doing that while I do this? No. So North Carolina is in a child care crisis, and Sampson County is as well. Why? Because sites are struggling to keep staff and pay staff as they should. The lack of sufficient funding and teacher shortage is a strong concern. And Pre-K is a research-proven program that is currently struggling to retain the slots that we currently have in Sampson County. Total Sampson County, 351 slots. The slots I'm gonna speak to you tonight about are 333 slots, okay? Children that attend the NC Pre-K program, it's proven research that they enter kindergarten more prepared, of course. They're more proficient on reading and math. They're less likely to repeat elementary grades. They show an increase in brain development because you're starting early on with those children. They're less likely to be placed in EC classes. They have a higher graduation rate, and they demonstrate improved socialization skills. And I will say, since COVID, there has been a huge spike in behavioral concerns in pre-K and all other grades. The biggest concern is lack of sufficient funding to support the program overall. The high need, we have a great need for other funding resources. Now, we support the program with state funds and federal funds, but there's not enough there. The current funding sources are NC Pre-K, of course, at around $2 million total, and then Smart Start fundings at around $1 million. Now let's look at the current funds that we have. State funds, the minimum amount required by the state is $496. Sampson County Partnership for Children pays $497 per child per month if they attend so many days out of the month. They have to attend 25% of the time, which is around 4 days out of the entire month. The state decreased that from last year, which was 50%, because they were seeing that we were not paying the schools or whoever had pre-K in their child care center because the attendance was not where it needs to be. Smart Start funding that we pay is called TANF. These children are 200% below poverty. We pay for 160 children, 100 in Sampson County schools and 60 in Clinton City schools at $70 per child. And I'll show you all the money figures in just a moment. These are supplemental funds that we do not have to pay at the partnership, but we reach deep and pay them. So the total cost of a classroom, according to the recent DCDE Director Ariel Ford, is $11,330 per year per child. If you break that down by the months that we pay, which is 10 months, you get around $1,133 per child per month. That is if they attend as they should. We can pay that out. If they don't attend, we can't pay that money, and that money's lost, unfortunately. I will also say that at the end of our year, if we have any remaining funds, I'm talking $50, $60,000, whatever, we reallocate that to the schools. We take every dime, we put it back in Sampson County, because they can pull that money back, but we avoid that. So let's look at all of the schools in Sampson County. This shows you a layout. Sampson County schools have 216. Clinton City schools has 117 slots. That gives you a 333. Now remember, I said we have 351. I'm not including Head Start on this. They have 18 slots because Head Start has other funding sources already. These two areas do not. Sampson County schools and Clinton City do not. Well, they have some, but we need more for these two areas. Now let's look deeper at Sampson County schools in general. I'll show you the layout here of each school and how many slots they have. Again, they have 216 slots. Clement has 29, Hardgrove 20, Midway 38, Roseboro 30, Salemburg 36, Union 63, for a total of 216 slots. We want to maintain these slots. We're in danger of losing Sampson County slots currently. Clinton City Schools has 117 slots. You see 6 classes of 18 and 1 class of 9. All the slots are at one school. And as you can see in Sampson County, they're kind of scattered. We'll look at the funding for Sampson County schools. If you look at the pre-K money that we put into Sampson County schools, you say $497 times the 216 slots times 10 months, a little over $1 million. The Smart Start fund that we allot to Sampson County schools is $100 times $70 times 10 months, $70,000. So you have a little over $1 million right there that we're allocating to Sampson County schools. As we looked at, the yearly cost for pre-K is $1,133 per child times the 216 children times 10 months, you get $2 million. If you subtract the $2 million from what we're paying them, you're still coming up with around $1 million that the school has to dish out of their pocket. It has to come from other sources or they're going to have to pay for it. This is why they're looking at releasing slots. They absolutely are having a hard time affording this. What I'd like to ask the commissioners is to look at allocating $5. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you times it, times the 216 children, times 10 months, you get 10,800. That's still really not a lot, but I'd like to ask you to consider that for Sampson County. Then we're gonna look at Clinton City. NC pre-K funds, the same thing, 497, times the slot numbers, 117, times 10 months, $581,490. Then your Smart Start funds, again, you have 60 slots times the $70 times 10 months at $42,000. Your total's around $623,490 that we allocate to Clinton City schools. So again, you're subtracting the yearly costs. They are, Clinton City Schools is still having to dish out $702,000 to help fund these classrooms. And again, we're asking for $5 per child at 117 slots for 10 months for $5,850. If you add both of those totals together, you get around $16,650. I've always said, if you want quality, you're gonna have to pay a high price. When your children go to college, you say, oh, that hurts, but you pay because you know it's important and it's gonna be long-lasting. These pre-K classrooms affect a child lifelong. These lower income children, they need that extra nudge before they get to kindergarten. I have so many teachers say to me, wow, I can tell a child when they walk in the door if they've been to pre-K or not. All the way around. They know how to follow the schedule. They're used to a schedule. They're socialized. You know, they are under quality teachers. Quality teachers, quality learning materials. It costs around $20,000 just to fund one classroom with the furniture. And we buy a lot of highly educational resources for these children. I'm very passionate about pre-K. Albert Einstein said, the only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. So think about that. What you don't have is gonna interfere with what you know in the future. You know, I humbly ask you to consider this because we make nothing off of this. This is totally to help Sampson County's education.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Commissioners, got anything?
Thank you for giving us an insight on what it costs and what you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item C is our water systems update. Ashley Holland. I'm gonna steal your thunder a little bit. Those who don't know, Mr. Turlington is not here and Ashley is in charge for a month. That gets very scary if y'all don't know anything. I'm kidding, I'm picking it. He's out, had a little surgery, so you guys just keep him in your prayers, and I know that Mark wishes he was here, I promise you.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. As anybody that don't know me, I'm Ashley Holland. I'm Assistant Director of Public Works. And like Chairman said, Mark is out, and I have a prepared statement from him, if I may read so at this time. This is pertaining to a meeting that he went and for Old Warsaw and Road and Old Mance Highway for PFAS funding. And Mr. Turlington met with DEQ representatives in their Raleigh office on Thursday, January 23rd. The purpose of this meeting was to discuss PFAS contamination in wells in Sampson County. County residents have been making inquiries concerning this potential contamination. DEQ conducted extensive testing in the western part of the county and found a small percentage of contaminated wells. Some of the areas concerned already have access to county water. However, Old Mance Highway and the affected portion of Old Warsaw Road currently do not have access to county water. Mr. Turlington asked that DEQ about any available funding for these affected areas. DEQ advised Mr. Turlington that the Sampson County would need to submit grant applications for both roads during the spring funding round. These applications can be submitted starting March 1st. DEQ did not guarantee that these applications would be funded because of the limit of amount of grant monies. If Sampson County applications are denied in the spring round of funding, they can be resubmitted in the fall. Mr. Turlington has advised Dewberry Engineering to prepare said funding applications for both roads. With that being said, Dewberry, our engineering firm at this time, are preparing and working on these funding applications and the funding for these projects. DWI recommended that the county apply for the emerging contaminant funding. So that's what they're working on at this time. These applications, like I said, start right now from March 1st to April 30th, 2025. A preliminary opinion of the cost has been prepared for the construction of water system expansion to the Mintz area and Old Warsaw Road. The overall cost for this project is Mintz area expansion is $5,120,000 even. The cost for Old Warsaw Road expansion is $3,531,050. The cost will be reviewed prior to submitting the applications, and any updates will be shared with the Board of Commissioners and staff. Is there any other questions at this time?
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. If, assuming that the county were to receive the grant funding in the spring letting, the spring awarding period, and we were to receive the money in, how long would it take to complete these projects?
It would go into, which they're in the planning phase now, but then it would have to go through all the processes, so we're probably looking over a year.
Is there anything that the county can do to point residents in the right direction for what they can do in the meantime while they're waiting on the answers to these questions as far as water service through filters or bottled water delivery from DEQ or other sources?
Yes, sir. They can actually contact the Department of Water Infrastructure or DEQ, and they can give them how they need to apply and all like that. And also, if they will call our office, we will do everything in our power to point them in the right directions of anything they need. Because we want to make sure that the citizens are well looked after, and we're gonna do everything within our power to make sure that happens.
Mr. Ashley, if I could, also Commissioners, we can gather the information so that people don't have to call and try to find it, and we could put it on the Public Works portion of the website so that you can have instant information about who to call for assistance right now. Although I've been still meeting with department heads, I've met with Public Works 3 times, once today with Ms. McEllen Brown and Mr. Ashley here, and I know that they are intent on pursuing everything they can with the state. It's not good to have PFAS, but one thing about PFAS, it does tend to raise you in rankings when you're trying to compete for dollars, and the state dollars are limited. But in the meantime, while we're going after this with all we've got, we can give people information on the website.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Appreciate the comment.
Thank you.
Move on to item 2, planning and zoning.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. At their January 13th, 2025 meeting, the Planning Board reviewed 2 preliminary plans. First on the agenda, we have the Meadow at Brick Crossing. This is a preliminary plan for a 160-lot major subdivision located on Rosin Hill Road in Newton Grove Township. The subdivision spans over 3 parcels totaling 322 acres. It's located in the RA zoning district. All lots will be served by county water and individual septic systems. 8 internal roads are being proposed with a 50-foot public right-of-way that terminates in cul-de-sacs. NCDOT has also requested that right turn lanes be installed at the entrance of the subdivision on Rosin Hill Road and at the intersection of Rosin Hill and Hopton Highway US 701. 28 acres of the parent tract are located in a flood zone, and there are 404 wetlands on the tract. These areas are delineated on the preliminary plat. The planning board voted unanimously 4-0 to recommend approval of the preliminary plan. Staff is also recommending approval because it complies with the subdivision ordinance as well as aligns with the intent of residential growth designation of the land use plan.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion now to approve the preliminary plan.
I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plan as presented by the planning board and planning staff.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Raise them. Motion shows carries. All right, now on to Piney Grove, I believe.
Pine Grove, yes, sir. The planning board reviewed Pine Grove, a preliminary plan to subdivide 55 acres into 56-lot major subdivision located on Wildcat Road in Franklin Township. The subject property is located in the RA zoning district. All lots will be served by individual well and septic systems. A 50-foot public right-of-way will be installed to serve the 56 lots. The subject property is not located within the regulated floodplain, and there are no wetlands on the property. The planning board voted unanimously 4-0 to recommend approval of the preliminary plan. Staff also recommends approval because it complies with the Sampson County subdivision ordinance.
All right, I'll entertain another motion to,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the Piney Grove preliminary plan.
have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? Motion so carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do appreciate everything that they do at the planning board. All right, we're gonna move on to action items on item 3. And we'll open up a public hearing for the naming of private roads. Thank you, Ms. Matthews.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have duly advertised a public hearing to receive comments on the recommendations of the Road Naming Committee regarding the names of certain private roads. The Road Naming Committee recommends that PVT 1929-290 be named Airplane Lane.
Is there any discussion? Any questions? Thoughts or concerns?
Was there any support, or I would assume there's support from the community, but any people raise concerns about the name of the road or other suggestions?
There was one suggestion that was more preferred by landowners. I believe it was Twin Oaks Lane, but the Road Naming Committee did not like that suggestion due to concerns of duplication of road names because there's an existing Twin Oaks Lane in Clinton.
Well, that makes sense. Any other questions? I'll close our public hearing and take a motion to name the private road.
Make a motion that we name the private road.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. Motion so carries. Well, we're down to the tax administration. I'll be there, Mr. Jim. I see you over there hiding. Come on up.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Doing fine, sir.
According to General Statute 105-369, on the first Monday in February, it's the duty of the tax collector to report to the governing board the amount of unpaid taxes for the current fiscal year that are liens on real property. Upon receipt of this information, the governing board must set a date or dates for advertising these liens. The law requires us to, the liens be advertised at least once between March the 1st and June the 30th. The amount of unpaid tax liens on real property as of today is $4,101,499.22, which is about $481,000 higher than it was last year. With that information, I would like to make a recommendation that the board set April the 9th, 2025 as the advertising date with the deadline to avoid paying the advertising being Wednesday, April the 2nd, 2025. Payments must be received in our office by 5 p.m. on that date.
Sorry, I'm coming, guys. All right, I need someone to make a motion, please, on authorizing advertisement of unpaid taxes which are leveled on real property as recommended by the tax administrator.
I make a motion, so moved.
I got a motion
Second.
and I have a second. All those in favor? Motion so carries.
And right now, in the current fiscal year with real and personal property, we're sitting at about 91% collection rate, whereas typically where we're at this time of year. So we're on pace to
Okay.
finish as we typically do. The next item that we have is, I need the board to consider setting dates for the 2025 Board of Equalization and Review hearings. According to General Statute 105-322, the first meeting shall not be held earlier than the first Monday in April and no later than the first Monday in May. In the year a county conducts a real property reevaluation, the board shall complete its duties on or before December the 1st. The meeting dates are required to be published at least 3 times, with the first publication to be at least 10 days prior to the first meeting. Also, the notice shall state the date that the board expects to adjourn. So I would like to make a recommendation that we set the Board of E&R dates for Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. And the appointment times be between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on that date.
That was my next question. Thank you.
And that's negotiable. That's just a,
I understand. Any comments, any thoughts? I think we've all looked at it. I'm good with the date and the time.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the recommended date of April the 29th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the Board of Equalizations and Reviews to have their hearings.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion so carries.
thank you very much.
Thank you. We're down to item 4, consent agenda. And are there any comments or questions about our consent agenda? Everyone good? I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as is.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? Motion so carries. Have no comments on the Board of Information. It's in our packets. So now we're down to item 6, County Manager's Report. With our new county manager, for those who don't know him, Mr. Jeffrey Hudson. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to serve your community. I grew up not far from here in Richlands. Been there in Onslow County, western Onslow County my whole life, so I'm pretty used to this neck of the woods. Big Blue Store is a great place to come, I'll tell you that. So I do appreciate very much the hospitality everyone has shown me. Since my arrival, county staff has been very welcoming and accommodating. I have been in an intensive learning mode. Commissioners and members of the public, for your information, I've met with every commissioner individually, some for hours at a time. And I've had really good meetings with all of you. I've also had meetings with our 2 superintendents of public schools, along with along with Vice Chairman Pope and Commissioner Crumpler. The 3 of us went and met for a long time with the Sampson Community College leadership team. And we were able to bring back information which I then shared with all the members of the board. I believe very strongly in something called intentional communications. I think it's easy to let it slip sometimes when you don't talk to people. So I try to make it a point to go ahead and schedule meetings with department heads. This week, especially starting tomorrow, I will begin a round of meetings with every department head of the county, at least initially 1 hour apiece, and I'll go through the whole county, and then later on we'll be doing it again, especially as we hit the budget. I've also requested monthly meetings with the superintendents of schools. Public education is a tremendous amount of our county funding. And I think it's very important, as I see Superintendent King in the audience, that we maintain open lines of communication and that we work together for the benefit of the citizens. I have really no time to waste, Commissioners. It's important that we move ahead very quickly because we have to learn as much as we can because the budget season is upon us. And we need to understand the opportunities and the challenges facing Sampson County at this time. I would like to especially commend in that interim period we've just been through, Human Resources Director Nancy Dillman. For several weeks, she performed two very complex tasks, working both in human resources and in management. Most people wouldn't want one of those jobs, and she held two down for a long time. Ms. Dillman, thank you for your service to Sampson County during that very trying time. Now, Commissioners, I mentioned learning mode earlier, and I mentioned the budget earlier. Nowhere is it more important that we go into learning mode than as we prepare that budget together. Staff is currently working to develop a picture of where revenues might stand for the coming year. And as far as expenditures go, in over 30 years of city and county management, I've never known a year when there weren't more expenditure requests than revenues. And many requests represent serious topics, such as public education, utilities, health, or public safety. Seasoned department heads know not to ask for wants, but rather to ask for needs. But even needs must be prioritized. In today's world, I would say, government needs to look past a single year and the needs of a single year and think about what might be coming in the next few years. I mean, let's face it, we do that in our own lives, right? If you know that your roof on your house has to be replaced 3 years down the road, you start thinking about it. Facility maintenance programs, 10-year capital improvement programs and studies help us as a government look ahead. Commissioners, it's my hope that we can take some of the surprises out of annual budgeting. For example, this year alone, year to date, from July 1 until now, Sampson County has spent over $109,000 replacing air conditioning units. Not small change. Whether it's a new roof or new school construction, you need to know what's coming down the pipe toward you, what's going to happen in the future. So, Commissioners, I want to work toward that with your staff and also in conjunction and partnership with the boards of education. Commissioners, I believe in an engaged and commissioner-driven budget process because even though I'm currently your budget officer and I will present a budget with options to you, the budget itself, when adopted, represents the largest and most far-reaching policy, public adopted policy of the Board of Commissioners. You direct the funds of government. Now, it's time to begin. In many instances in the past, when I've begun a budget process, I began in November. We're in February. So, Commissioners, I recommend to the chairman, to the board, that at the end of this meeting, you recess this meeting until a date, time, and place certain in accordance with open meeting laws of North Carolina. 4 p.m., Monday, February 10th, in the Sampson County Administrative Building, Building C, in the meeting room of that building. At that time, I would request that the board hold a workshop in which the board works with staff and that we present to you information on revenues, information on our fund balance, the major challenges and opportunities of our departments, and that the commissioners participate in a goal-setting exercise that will drive budget formation. I believe professionally that this is, in the end, your budget. Your priorities, in order, are given to the manager, and it's the manager's responsibility to deliver back to you recommended budgets that address, to the extent possible, within the revenues available to the county, your priorities. And then you go into budget deliberation, and in the end, by July 1 or June 30th, you have an adopted budget that bears some resemblance to the priorities that you set forward, you are the elected officials of Sampson County. Your constituents talk to you in ways that staff will never hear. And so we will follow your guidance in your biggest, largest annual public policy statement. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for your graciousness this time for me to say these things, and hopefully set the footing for next Monday and the start of a budget season. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate all those comments, and we welcome, I can promise you, from this board and the conversations I've had with each person on this board, we welcome the opportunity to serve this county and to move forward and to make this a group session to where things are like they need to be in this county for what we need to have. And we're going to follow your direction, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now we are down to our public comment section. Okay. Ms. Hunt? Miss Elaine F. Hunt.
Good evening. My name is Elaine F. Hunt, 7171 of Warsaw Road, Turkey, North Carolina. First, I just want to thank Mr. Mark Turleton on the report that I heard. It answered some of my questions for tonight. And I thank the commissioner who asked the other questions, because that was on my list also. I think that the opening date to apply for some of these funds is March the 1st. And so now I say the ball is in your court. In your court. And we're looking forward to you trying to help us. I brought this to show the newcomers. And I see you all drinking clear water. This is what come out of my kitchen faucet. This is what come out of it. I know you would not want this compared to what you're drinking. The only thing I can say now is we're going to wait and we're going to pray. And I know it's not guaranteed. I heard them say it's not guaranteed. But I'm a believer that all things are possible. So with that said, again, I say I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. And whoever said you will be in touch with us rather than we calling you, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt. And yes, continue to pray. That goes a long ways for what goes on in this county. I believe it, and I preach it. Apostle Munns.
That's some dirty water. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome, Mr. Hudson. I look forward to speaking to you personally in the near future. I'm going to be light on y'all tonight, okay? So we're not going to go there tonight, but I'm going to bring up something else. You can look back at the archives and see what I say. But tonight I'm going to bring something to you all that back October 2023, I brought to the board as it stood then. If you don't know, I'm a combat Marine Corps veteran. I was on the front line. I wasn't in the rear with the gear. I was on the front line, and I did what frontline people do, and I don't have to go into detail. So with that being said, in October 2023, when I brought this issue to the board, it never really got addressed. Now, my commissioner did touch base with me, and Mr. Commissioner Pope has touched base with me concerning it by he being a retired major from the sheriff's office. The sheriff did work closely with me to try to get this resolved. But as you heard, the county is expanding. There is a noise ordinance on the books. I'm not an attorney, but I have played one on television. So with that being said, the county is expanding, and being that it is expanding, the current noise ordinance that is on the book, I have it on my phone, I don't bring my notes up here. It specifically says municipalities and city limits and so on and so forth. But being that the county is expanding, we're having subdivisions in what is still deemed as rural areas. Therefore, we have an influx of people, and with that comes a variety of different people with concepts and what they believe or they can and should not do, and so on and so forth. Long story short, what I'm getting at is this, is that I'm bringing back before you that you look at your ordinance. Back in 2025, it was addressed by the current board, and they placed it in position then, but times was different. Now we're looking at 10 years later. And I have a ongoing issue with my neighbor, and my neighbor and I have been, police has been involved. I'm trying to stay out of jail, y'all. So what I am asking you all to do to revisit it seriously, and let's get something in place where when the officers come out, they don't have to go through all this red tape paperwork. This is a 61-year-old guy that still thinks he's 16 years old, and the music bothers me. It sets off my post-traumatic stress, and I don't want to go to jail, okay? So what I'm asking is that you all seriously visit this and give Sheriff Thornton and his deputies more leeway where they can resolve this. And we've tried the way of being cordial, and he's been nasty, and I've been keeping my mouth closed because I don't want to go there, okay? So I ask that you all seriously look at this, and let's get something in place sooner than later. And that's not taking any money, so that's free of charge. Okay, y'all have a blessed night.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Latoya Gilman?
Good evening, Latanya Gillum, 817 West 2nd Street, Garland, North Carolina. And even though I live in Garland, I'm coming on behalf of the residents of Ivanhoe because they have some concerns about the progress of the water, because it's been 2+ years, and seeing is believing for them. And there is little to no visible progress for them, and they're becoming concerned. Also, they need to feel like they're being kept in the loop as to what's happening and when it's happening. Just recently with our storms, we have had a lot of our elderly come across some pump issues where their pumps have been broken and they're spending $1,500 that they don't have. And we have a community of elderly and widows. They don't have that kind of money. And so we need to know what's happening and when it's happening. We need more of a timeline. They waited long enough. And that $13 million is not going to buy what it would have bought 2 years ago, the longer we wait. And we also have people that they're finding that their water is contaminated, their wells are messing up, and they want to be brought in too. Just like the young lady said, when she came up with that bottle of water, the water smells awful. Absolutely awful. Nobody should have to bring that into their system. In the surrounding areas like Garland, they're finding things with their water as well. And so I'm coming to you, commissioners. Everybody deserves clean drinking water. We're coming to you because you're the ones that can solve the problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Sellers? Not Mr. Sutton. It's Sellers, I'm sorry. There you go.
Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is Maribel Sellers, and I reside at 4596 Old Walsall Road, Turkey. And there are some more that's here with me that lives on that road. Of course, if they don't mind standing. Okay. My water has been tested, and it says that they have found 13 contaminant were detected in my well water. And that's very, very bad. And it also tells me that the recommendation, the PFOS and the PFOA concentrating exceed the applicant standard. Therefore, this water is not recommended for drinking or cooking at this time. So I'm standing to ask, please help us. I don't really want to sound like I'm begging, but I am begging. Please help us. Because my husband, he's been running back and forth to the doctor with kidney problems already in place from drinking this water. My mom had already passed from drinking this water. My father already passed from drinking this water. I got a sister that just passed last year with kidney problems from drinking this water. I'm quite sure that helped added to it. And my husband has very bad heart condition also. I got a sister, I don't think she's here tonight, but she has very bad heart condition from drinking this water. And I myself, health is not that good. But I'm asking, please help us. Help us, please, because we do deserve clean water. We really do deserve clean water. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Larry Sutton. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners and staff members. I'm Larry Sutton. I reside at 4761 Bearskin Road, Clinton. And I will continue with the water issue, even though I have other things I want to say as well. This water issue, as I said to the board several times before, our county has a problem. Our county has a water problem. And I did suggest before as well that we seriously consider getting a budget in place to attend to this water infrastructure matter. We got a serious problem, and it's going to spread from Mintz Road to Old Warsaw Road to other roads in the county eventually. And I just hope that we can be proactive now and do whatever it has to be done for the county to nip this problem in the bud. The county has a growing water problem, not just here, but across other areas as well. Water is essential. Water is a civil rights issue. And I am here from the NAACP, and I hope my name becomes a household word to you. My phone number is 910-590-6479. And anytime you want to run some issues by me, feel free to call me. And I'll tell you what my opinion is from the perspective of the NAACP. And that's the water issue. So, next, tonight I want to report to the board an NCDOT issue. The four-way stop on Bearskin and the Zoar Church Road intersection has a stop sign or a caution sign missing. The eastbound Bearskin Road has a caution ahead, four-way stop sign is missing. I called the district office in December to report that to the office. And they said, yes, we'll take care of that. today, around noontime, the sign is not there yet. And again, please do what has to be done to put the matters of this county in order, from water on back down to everything else, including education. And again, thank you for your attention and have a good evening.
Thank you. Mr. Sutton, I will address you real quick on the four-way signs. I take that very seriously. It kind of got put in as I became a commissioner, and I promise you tonight, I will make a phone call and see if I can get that fixed. What I don't like, and I'll say it publicly, I don't like to go to a different county and things look different than what I have in Sampson County. You can leave my office and go to two other various counties around, and when I get to a four-way stop, they got all kinds of extra lights and extra stops, and then when I get here, I got this. I fussed about it, and I promise you, I will continue on that. I'm gonna put you on the spot just real lightly. Man here's got a lot of water background, y'all, and we're going to rely on him. We'll get some stuff out on our, so you guys can see what we're doing and how we're going to try to address the situation, okay? We want to be as forthcoming as possible to where you all feel comfortable in what we're doing. We're here to serve you. That's what I want y'all to know first. And I promise you, this board and these members I'm sitting up here with are here to serve you. I feel as good about this group as I've ever felt since I've been elected into my office here in Sampson County. So I promise you, if you'll give us a chance, we'll prove it to you. All right? Now, I'm gonna hush. One more thing I want to bring to all my commissioners and y'all's attention, we have a letter, and this is from our Veterans Council. If you will, we're not gonna read anything tonight, but I want you all to please look at it. It gives some numbers that we need to see, and I wanted to make sure that the commissioners, I knew it was up here for you, okay? All right? Now, I'm gonna hush. Does anything else come forward this board from any commissioner? Y'all, okay, all hearts and minds are rested. Now, we have had I'm gonna say, we've been told what we're gonna do. How's that? I'm just messing with you. We're
I'm not
gonna
telling anything,
recess.
Mr. Chairman. Just a suggestion.
We're gonna follow his suggestion, y'all, because we have got to get to work, I promise you, and we're ready to go to work, okay? So I'm gonna take a motion to adjourn, to recess, to reconvene, I get this right, Monday, February 10th at 4 in the administrative boardroom.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor? Motion carries. We are